Welcome to Lenzing Innovation at TextWorld USA. My name is Erica Garcia, and I am with Lenzing New York business team and marketing communications. This season, Lenzing is highlighting Refiba branded lyocell fibers and EcoFerro fibers, a practical solution towards circular economy and transparency in the textile industry. We are also featuring Tencel and Refiba branded lyocell blends for denim with carved in blue. To learn more about these innovations, please visit us at the Lenzing booth, B12 in Hall E, directly across from here. You can also find 16 Lenzing innovation mills around the Lenzing Pavilion. This seminar is being videotaped and will be provided about 2 weeks from now. For the latest information on seminars and events at TextWorld, please refer to the TextWorld app. For more information on Carved in Blue, Tencel, or Refibra, please visit carvedinblue.com. For more information on EcoVero, please visit the Lenzing website. Today we're presenting Microplastics and Environment, Quantifying the Impact. As a highly regarded applied research laboratory, Hohenstein engages in many projects to quantify the performance and environmental impact of fabrics. One such project currently underway evaluates the effect of laundering on the quantity and types of microplastics potentially present in waste streams. Today, your speaker is Jan Beringer, head of R&D Department of Function and Care. He earned his PhD from the University of Stuttgart. Is that how you say it?
Stuttgart, Germany.
Stuttgart. He began his career at the Hohenstein Institute as head of Competence Center and for Care specializes in research and testing in the fields of clothing physiology, construction, and fit quality of garments, the function of fabrics, textile UV protection, textile processing, and the department is also registered as a notified body and test center for personal protective equipment. Jan focuses extensively on textile and fiber chemistry, nanotechnology, coating and finishing, and compression technology. It's a mouthful. Wow. Please welcome your speaker, Dr. Jan Beringer. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, and want to thank you also, Lenzing, for this opportunity to give a presentation here today to you. Well, warm welcome after lunch. Hopefully my talk will be exciting because you usually have to fight some fatigue after lunch. So I'm going to talk about an ongoing PhD thesis that is currently done in Hohenstein about the impact of microplastics, especially in industrial laundry. And I'm giving you some intermediate results on the analytics, new analytics we have developed to really quantify the fiber debris, what is coming off the textiles during laundry. The very smart thing about our analytics is that this is not done by gravimetric analysis. It is done in turbid and also colored liquid media, and I will show it to you later on, of course. So a short introduction to the Hohenstein Institute. We are German-based, and this is an aerial photo of our headquarters. We are located between Heilbronn and Stuttgart. Heilbronn might not be known, but for those of you who might drive Audi automobiles, they are manufactured in Heilbronn, and in Stuttgart, of course, it's Mercedes and Porsche, so kind of the automotive triangle in the German south. We are a private institute, so actually we are a family business. We are belonging, our owners are the Michels family, and we are in third generation led by the family owner. We have three main businesses in Hohenstein. One is an independent institute for testing and certification, so this is where all the Ökotex, for example, analysis is going on. We have a non-profit R&D institute for public funded research and contract research, so this is now where the PhD thesis, what I'm going to present today, is going on, and an academy for seminars and trainings. We're currently moving to an online academy, and I think, this is the next step in training. We have a worldwide presence. About the number are no longer correct anymore, about 1,000 employees worldwide and about 600 employees at the headquarters in Bönigheim. My colleagues from the US are also here today, so we have a presence in the US. As you can see, the main focus is in Asia, of course. This is where the textile business is going on, and we are currently establishing a few more labs in the Asian region to serve our customers there better. The Hohenstein base, we were actually founded in 1946, right after the Second World War, is R&D. This is where we come from, and we built up the testing and certification right next to R&D over the last 50 to 60 years. And as mentioned before, information, consultation, and training. Those little gears between the three sections indicate that all the sections are very closely connected to each other. So what we find out in research is transferred into testing, or when we get new learnings from testing, we transfer it back to R&D to improve testing systems and also go into standardization. Of course, we talk about everything, what we do. This is the last years. Our core competences, what we do, clothing physiology is one of these for about 70 years now, clothing technology, pattern, sizes, 3D scanning, all around textile finishing, textile UV protection, textile reprocessing, either for industrial scale, but also for household scale. Spectroscopy is colorimetry whiteness assessment, all around the interaction between biology and the textiles. This is our hygiene, environment, and medicine part. We are a testing center for PPE, and we also can certify that for the European Union. And the last part is a very broad part. It's called textile testing and consumer test. It deals with household laundry, stain making, stain removal, but also with compression, either medical compression garments, but also sports compression garments. So Hohenstein can be seen as an institute at the end of the textile chains. So basically all around the human being. It's the clothing physiology, the wear comfort. It's the clothing technology. It's the sizes and the fit, the reprocessing, the washing, the protection, which is PPE, and also the function of the textile that you are wearing. So it's finishing and spectroscopy. So now going into the topic for today. Whoops, was one back, sorry. Well, as introduction to microplastics, the term is mostly used in the connection with plastic waste in aquatic habitats, plastic in sea waters, also in the lake waters. And the definition of microplastics is kind of not set at the moment. So a lot of literature talks about microplastics when the diameter in size is less than 5 millimeters. So this definition is frequently cited in literature, but currently there is no official definition at what size range a plastic particle can be called a microplastic particle. A lot of R&D is ongoing in the sources and the concentrations. So where does microplastic actually come from? And in which concentration is it present at certain stages in the environment? And last but not least, the impact on the ecosystem and also the food chain. So a lot of research is going on this right now. So we kind of stepped into that topic when the European Commission in 2012 announced that a major source of microplastics in the environment is household washing. And they referred to some publications, it's listed on the right, down there, where they found numerous microparticles after laundering certain textiles. But it was not really specified what the laundry process was and also what kind of textiles were in there. The main circle or life cycle of microplastics is displayed in this nice chart. We have the washing liquor and the textile, then we have the washing machine. Of course, there's the mechanical stress, the wastewater with microplastics in there, then we have the wastewater treatments, the wastewater treatment plants, pollutants, and then of course going into the food chain, and then later on it's hypothesized at the moment that it occurs health problems caused to animals and humans because we're actually the end of the food chain. So we collected some data, especially on the wastewater right after the washing machine. So these two pictures actually indicate the one on top is just the wastewater from an industrial laundry washing machine, just filtrated, and you can see the clouds in there. These are definitely microplastic particles. The screw in the lower picture is from a wastewater treatment system in industrial laundry, and this laundry is processing medical scrubs, so all the green textiles that are worn by surgeons during their daily work. And you can see there's a lot of green slurry in there, which is actually microplastics. But the main challenge is how to analyze this slurry or these clouds, and to really find out where does this come from. You need proper analytics for that. It is also in literature found that microplastics generates a lot of problems in wastewater treatment facilities, as about 96% of those fiber are retained during the wastewater treatment, and they block the filters in there, so the bacteria have other things to deal with the microplastic is instead of the organic micro waste. So the microplastic is also causing problems in wastewater treatment. So it would be good to know what is coming into the wastewater treatments and where does it come from. Well, last but not least, I think you know most of these pictures. So dead animals at the beach, the stomach full of plastic particles, and also microorganisms that ingest microparticles when you kind of feed them with this plastic waste. There are a lot of publications about there and about this topic. And of course, again, here it's also important what shape, what size, and where does this particle actually come from. So it's not only sufficient to say, well, these are microparticles. You need to have precise data on the particles. The current state that we have on microplastics and laundry is there's a lot of research and testing and publications going on in the home laundry sector. So I've plotted out 3 main publications where kind of analytic took place. So I just cited from 2011, 1,900 fleece fibers from a fleece sweater were found in domestic laundry. Well, what kind of fibers, how long, which diameter, what kind of fleece sweater was in there, what was the washing process. Actually, this data is missing in this publication. The next one from 2016, 700,000 acrylic fibers per 6 kilogram laundry was found. Again, we have no additional data in this publication on the washing machine, for example, on the laundry process, and also how the textiles were treated before the laundry. Next one cites 0.01 weight percent microfibers from a fleece textile. Again, not specified what kind of textile and also what kind of fibers. Just basically filtered those fibers and they counted or weighed the fibers. When we look at industrial laundry, where we have much more mechanical stress and also a much more harsher chemistry, there are no investigations and no data so far. And this is actually where our project is focusing on. And the first part of the project is to establish a proper analytics for microplastics in turbid media. Well, this is what I just said. Characterization and quantification of the fibers that are discharged in laundry processes, especially in industrial laundry processes. The workflow of the project can be separated in 3 parts. Establish a proper analytics, a kind of in situ analytics in the laundry process. Determine the origin, the cause of the fiber discharge in the laundry process, of course, and to develop methods how to reduce this fiber discharge in industrial laundry. You may have noticed that we're focusing on industrial laundry, but all the findings we get from industrial laundry can be transferred back to home laundry by a few parallel analytics, because usually the home laundry is less mechanical stressful than the industrial laundry. So what kind of method and materials did we use? We start with a lab scale washing machine. It's ISO 105C12, which is very closely related to the ISO 15797, which is the industrial laundry standard. And here we found most reproducible conditions to generate microfiber debris in washing liquors. We started with 4 different fabrics that are normally used for workwear, so 100% polyester, 50-50 polyester cotton blend, 65-35 polyester cotton blend, and 100% cotton fibers. The technical tool that we use for the establishing our analytics is the dynamic image analysis. And with this tool, you can quantify the shape, the number, and also the size distribution of those particles that are released in laundry. And the smart thing is you can do it in turbid and colored media. So there's no need for filtration anymore. The analysis is done with 85 frames per second. So for those of you who are into computer games, frames per second is very important. The higher the number, the higher the resolution of moving objects, for example, is. And you can see the principle. You have a light source, which is actually a laser. Then you have an optical system, and you have a kind of a flow cell where the media that is analyzed is constantly pumped through. And on the other side, you have a camera that detects all the particles in a speed of 85 frames per second. So for example, for a standard analytics of our microplastics in one run, roughly 10 to 20,000 pictures are taken by the software. Of course, you cannot evaluate 10 to 25,000 pictures by hand. So the software actually is a very powerful software. You can group certain things, you can filter certain things according to diameter, to the shape of the fiber, and so on. And here I've just shown a few examples what is possible with this kind of software. So basically took the PhD student about half a year to find out how to operate the software correctly. And now she's pretty fine with the software, and the analytics are actually progressing very well. Of course, when you establish a system, you have to validate it. So you need to put something in where you exactly know the shape and the size. So we looked for kind of reference microplastic fibers, and we found it in standard flock fibers of polyamide 6,6 with a diameter of 0.3 millimeters and 1.7 densitex. And well, to validate that, of course, we did first scanning electron microscope pictures and then put those fibers into the analytics of the dynamic imaging process. And results were actually perfect. So the fibers that we put in were actually also found by the software and the analytics. And as you can see from the size distribution, we have a very sharp peak of the particle size. So the analytics from that part perfectly works. The next step in validation is a so-called quantitative method comparison. So we put in a number of microfibers, and of course we want to find them later on. So the calculation has to be the same as the way in as before. So we calculated just by the density of the microfibers and the weight, how many particles should be in there. And as you can see, we had two different weigh-ins, so 3.15 milligrams of fibers and kind of the double, 6.17 milligrams. And as you can see from the calculation, from the dynamic image analysis and the microscopy, the bars are actually very good matching, as the microscopy is actually the most imprecise tool to measure it. The dynamic analysis is much closer to the real situation. So from this part, the quantitative validation was also okay. Then, of course, how to differentiate between different fibers. So, of course, when you have a picture from a fiber, you cannot say, is it cotton, is it polyamide, is it polyester, and so on. You basically need to remove one part of the blend. And this was also done here in this validation. So we basically removed the cotton part out of a cotton polyester garment, and then we have the clear indication that the rest is what is remaining is polyester. So this is a standardized method. It's done with sulfuric acid in combination with this analysis. You see the reaction scenario here, around 75% sulfuric acid at 122 Fahrenheit, 1 hour, and then a 100% cotton fiber is actually gone, it's dissolved. So this actually works. So when we now apply this treatment to a mixture of different fibers in the fabric, so the 50-50 cotton polyester, the 65-35 cotton polyester, 100% polyester. The upper images are always the scanning electron microscope pictures. from the beginning, so before the sulfuric acid treatment, and the lower pictures are the pictures after the sulfuric acid treatment. We also weight the weight loss from before and after the treatment. And when we look at the 50-50, we have a 47% weight reduction of the fabric. So this is quite a good match, 50 to 47. So nearly all cotton fibers were dissolved. This can also be seen by the scanning electron microscope pictures. It more looks like polyester now and not that fuzzy like cotton in the beginning. Same with the 65-35, reduction of 33% in weight. And again, the scanning electron microscope pictures clearly indicates less fuzziness, so less cotton and more polyester. The control was done with 100% polyester, 0% in weight production, as expected. And also the scanning electron microscope pictures doesn't look any more different after the treatment. So this was the visual analysis. Now we ran those liquors through our dynamic imaging analysis method. And with the 50-50, you can see different shape of fibers. And after the treatment, well, there are less fibers in there. And also the shape of the fiber has altered. So we can say that after the treatment, the fibers that are still measured are the polyester fibers because the cotton fibers are gone after the treatment. To validate this, we used 100% cotton filter paper that was also treated with the sulfuric acid treatment. And we can see there are no fibers anymore. So this validation also has worked out. So we can say that the analytics is established, the first step. So we completed this step right now. And what is going on is the origin and the cause of the fiber discharge. So we are currently investigating on the impact factors. And this investigation will be finished by mid of the year, and the reduction, the next step, will be finished by end of the year. We plan to give a webinar after we have done the full investigations in beginning of 2019 to show the final results. So the impact factors on the laundry, you may be familiar with the so-called sinus circle. So when you do laundry, you have 4 factors that influence the laundry result, which is temperature, chemistry, time, and mechanics. So those 4 elements of the sinus circle are the dominant factors in the laundry efficiency. So for example, if you decrease the temperature, you have either to increase the chemistry, the mechanics, or the time to get to the same washing result, so the same stain removal. Material will be is currently under investigation. So what kind of surface treatment result in a certain fiber debris? Are there certain finishes on fabrics that either prevent or generate more fiber debris? The polymer is an issue. Are there certain polymers that generate more debris or less debris? And also the quality of the fabric. Is it a cheap fabric, let's say that way, or more expensive one? And last but not least, the most challenging part is the use, how the fabric was used. So we will apply some usage strain on the fabric and also determine, does it come more from mechanical strain or more from chemical strain, the fiber debris. As mentioned, this is currently ongoing. The reduction will be dealing with preventive measures. So what can be done to prevent fiber debris by washing? Can something done in the process itself? Of course, you can say you can apply certain filter systems into the wastewater of laundries. This would be the most easiest process, but we want to understand what kind of factor in the washing really influences the discharge of microplastics. Can a textile be finished in a chemical or mechanical way to improve or to reduce the fiber debris? Is there a certain fabric construction that is predominantly responsible for fiber debris, and are there certain constructions that nearly don't generate anything at all? What about yarn constructions? Are more mechanically twisted yarns very likely to produce more fiber debris than less twisted yarns? And last but not least, also the polymer. How can the polymer be modified, for example, to reduce the fiber debris or even to kind of even it out? All right. As this is a German-funded project, this is a kind of mandatory slide to thank the Ministry of Economics for the funding. I think nobody from Germany will hear it, but this is my duty, so I just have to do it. We thank for the money. And I'm thanking you, of course you hear it now, for your attention, and I'm looking forward to your questions. And if the questions are not meant to the public, you can see our email addresses. You can either address them to my colleague Ben Mead in the US, or you can either write me an email. And yeah, we'll be happy to answer questions. Thank you.
So, what is your hope to get out of the research once you answer these questions? Are you hoping to use it to create a set of best practices for industrial launderers, or trying to pass new laws for how washing machines are made, or what's your goal?
Well, actually, there are multiple goals. So our first goal is to really know what we are talking about when we talk about microplastics. This is the first goal. The second goal is that we are pretty sure that somebody like Greenpeace will also approach industrial laundries due to microfiber release, and that we have data when they approach us, and that we can say, okay, we did some investigations, these are the facts, these are the main factors that influence it, and also to offer solutions how this can be either avoided or improved. This is kind of the concept behind it.
So you're hoping to partner with like NGOs and things like that to then act on the research afterward?
Yeah. Well, the first is to generate data for our customers, which are industrial laundries. And of course, then later on to step into a scientific discussion with NGOs about the issue if this comes into play.
Is the research looking at, I guess, like the chain or the system that goes from the wash water to the ocean? Since I guess we are looking at, oceanic microplastics, is the research going to be looking at, are there ways or are there stop gaps in the process where you can, use like a membrane technology or some sort of desalination system that can be transferred to more inorganic material to then, divert the, I guess, debris that you find in your research, outside of the actual aquatic environments?
So currently we are stopping at the point where the wastewater from the industrial laundry is handed over to the public wastewater treatment. This is the stop right now. The main reason is we didn't get any more money for the funding. So you just have to stop somewhere because basically the money runs out.
I have a very basic question. When people quantify the problem of microplastics in the environment, they often interchange microplastics and microfibers. So can you please just give a little bit of clarity into where microfibers fit into the microplastics problem?
Yeah, challenging question. As we have no clear definition right now for all the microplastic topics. So I remember the discussions we had when it came up with nanotechnology. So we had the same issues with nanotechnology, with nanoparticles, nanofibers, nanoplates, and so on. And there's a standard currently out right now, an ISO standard, that deals with all the characterization in nanotechnology. For our project, we will, of course, only focus on the microfibers that are discharged from textiles. Currently, our personal interpretation is that microplastic particles can occur from microfibers if the fibers break down further. But this is our sole interpretation right now. And I think a lot of other scientists have other interpretations. So you have microparticles coming from cosmetic industry. You have microparticles being discharged from fisher nets, for example. So coming back to what I first said, there's a lack of definition at the moment. And we're dealing with the fibers.
Do you, just a quick follow-up, do you consider cotton microfibers to be microplastics? Or do you consider, does it have to be comprised of
Yeah.
synthetic fiber
Yeah.
to be considered microplastic?
Well, it's definitely a microfiber. According to the current definition of man-made fibers originating from natural polymers or from synthetic polymers, it wouldn't be microplastic. But as before, also there is a need for a definition. So I would not consider even a microfiber from tencel or from rayon as microplastic. I would consider them as a microfiber, but not as a microplastic. But this is our personal definition right now.
Where it gets
Yeah.
confusing.
Yeah, and by the way, there's a conference in San Diego, I think in March, about all the microplastic issues, and it's also a very huge variety of presentations there. So maybe this is a good way to start to see where all the topics are around microplastics.
Based on that, there are a lot of different kinds of polyester textiles. Are you testing polyester and polymide and polyethylene and all these different kinds of poly things, or just picking a specific?
Yeah. So in this project, we are focusing on the materials I presented. So basically workwear fabrics. So 100% polyester in blend with cotton and so on. The analytics, in principle, is suitable for all kind of polymers. But again, coming back to the budget, it's limited in this project to these 4 samples that we have shown.
Your slide on the wastewater treatment, I can't remember, you said that 96%. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Are you saying 96% of these microfibers are extracted at the wastewater treatment stage? Or I didn't quite understand.
Yeah, you can say it as kind of extracted. Basically, they got stuck in the filter systems of wastewater treatments, which would actually be good, but they're causing problems in the filter systems in the wastewater. So the wastewater treatment plants would rather now have another filter system before their wastewater plants to make their job properly. So there's a lot of issues caused right now by blocking filters by those particles.
So have you tested drinking water, it seems, or do you just stop there?
You mean drinking water?
Yeah, you're taking your analytics and just ran
Tap
that
water.
water through it.
Yeah. Well, we have it as a control sample, as a daily control sample in our analytics, kind of the background noise. Well, actually, I need to get back to our PhD student what would be the results. I just don't know. I know that we have it as control sample. Would be really good to know if there's something in there. Yeah.
And just, you seem like you would probably know, so all that 96% of the microplastics that are captured in the wastewater treatment, are they currently being kind of dug out and sent to landfill, or like what is happening with the ones that are captured?
Yeah.
currently?
Well, I would encourage you to check on this publication. Where is it? Here.
What does that say? What
I
is
have no
it?
idea what it says.
Is there many-
Yeah.
It says something about fabric probably.
Yeah.
You can watch the slide later on. Here.
Okay.
This is one investigation that we found. So, again, a lot of research is going on right now. All right.
Is there anything you want us to take home today? Like,
Yeah, basically, for microplastics, we need to know what we're talking about. And from our point of view, there was a need for a proper analytics. And this is now set up from our part. And I think this is a starting point. The right analytics for that.
With this information out, is anyone taking action to solve the fact that it's going to go in our food chain and food supply and first being back for people?
Yeah, who do you mean with anyone?
well, us.
Your customers.
Yeah.
or?
They're actually all waiting on the final results.
Yeah, so it will be
Yeah.
next year? you
Yeah,
said?
2019,
2019,
beginning.
March or something.
Yeah,
When-
in the back. No. You.
Yeah, so, I mean, I have heard of some, like, home washing machine filters that you can, or that can be put into home washing machines. Will you be using that to test whether they capture the fibers? in the
Yeah,
future?
this will be a side project. We are currently approaching one German home laundry machine manufacturer if they are interested in, let's say, pre-evaluate the possibility of filter systems. As said, we are currently approaching that.
I'm just going to answer her question with another answer on top of yours. The Outdoor Industry Group has a OIA. They have a working group that's free to join. So if you're a brand or if you're just someone, you're working with a company that's interested in microfiber, you can join that working group. And then there's a company in the UK called Sandcroft, and they have a working group as well, which you can actually talk to me about. But if there's a lot of resources on OIA's website as well, and they're doing a lot of research.
Mhm.
So.
Right.
Do you imagine the test protocol, so like in a textile supply chain, would be something that launders, I'm trying to think how we come back, like I work in a fabric R&D, like how would it come back and how we can, would it be in QA, or do you think it would be just like I'm an environmental company and I want to protect us from doing this, or would it be something held really at the laundry level and I don't really have any
knowledge? That's
Yeah.
the question I was asking.
Well, let's say it that way. We think we're going to provide a tool when the PhD thesis is finished. And let's say the need for investigation will then determine what happens with that kind of tool. I cannot say at the moment if there will be a standard for microfiber release for certain fibers that you have to pre-test it before you bring it onto the market. I just cannot say it right now. So we are looking into it from a R&D point of view to understand what is coming from the fabrics and what is influencing those fiber debris.
And would you, I mean, it's kind of an evolving area of research. Would you imagine that, if you're able to come up with some very serious results, that maybe you can approach like existing standards, sustainability standards that already exist and say, add this into your standard? Is that something that you might do?
This is a possibility, yes, but as before, we just provide a tool. And then later on, other people have to decide, from R&D side, other people have to decide what kind of implementation this method later on will be. Of course, there's always the question of relevance to the industry. So if you maybe find out microplastic is more an issue of plastic bottles and not from textile fibers, there's also then a connection to be made with all the biology investigations which are going on right now, with all the environmental investigations. So all the environmental people and biology people, they talk at the moment about microplastics, so they do not have real definitions what kind of particles or fibers go into the biological systems. I think this will be ongoing research for the next few years.
I just wanted to add to your note that someone had asked, is this going to be standard? I think it's really going to be supply and demand. Whoever the brand is going to have to request this type of testing method. Like for years, there hasn't really been a true cooling testing method until Hohenstein created it just a few years ago.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't pay her.
And I used it while I was working with another organization. And until there's a demand, you as a raw material person, you can actually request that or make it a pledge for your brand or whatever your organization is, that this is required. Unless we ask for it in the industry, it's not going to go anywhere. I mean, that's the biggest push.
Correct. We just try to be, let's say, ahead of the need, and maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't.
Yeah.
I think there may be a need at some point to test the polyamide and the lycra and the acrylic and all those synthetics just to complete your research, because since we're using those, since the market is saturated with those current products out there, it would be beneficial to have the report fully to encompass all of those.
Yeah, we are planning actually follow-up projects of this one, but well, you might not be familiar with German public funding. It's a very long process. So basically, you have an idea, then you write a proposal, and then a proposal gets granted, hopefully, or it takes another round. So basically, from idea to results, it's about 5 to 6 years for public money.
But you can get from private.
Of course, we're always open for private financing, but we're talking about well, a few zeros in front of the digit. Well, if somebody wants to take the money, why not? We can start right now, but currently nobody wants to do this. So we had a lot of inquiries from industry, and they are all kind of, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Do you offer testing right now? Like, could I
Sure.
say, you said your yard of fabric, and you tell me how much from that?
Yeah. But of course, you also should tell us how to wash it, because this is a very delicate thing. And we are also thinking that the pre-treatment of the fabric might also have an impact. So for example, when you have workwear from somebody who is doing work in a kneeling position, and you make a fiber discharge from the knee section, will be definitely different than the fiber discharge from the thigh section, for example. So there are a lot of factors going into the fiber debris. We can consult you on that, of course, but if you just want to know fabric A, fabric B, wash it under certain conditions for a certain times, do the analytics, this is possible.
Why did you settle on workwear?
Yeah, again, coming back to German public funding, because there was an open call for industrial laundry. We would have loved to do it for household laundry, but there was no money to get for household laundry. So it's simply about an open call. All right. Thanks so much for the questions. Thank you.